to put the pre-show on Patreon. You are listening to the B.I.G show with your hosts, Calvin and Garland. The B.I.G show is a weekly breakdown of the sports world from a fan's perspective. Here are your hosts, Calvin and Garland.
Hey, thanks for joining the big show, and we will see you next week.
Hey, good night.
Hey, man, it is
we
the
just had
big
a whole
show.
20-minute pre-show.
Yeah,
and it was good.
It was
real good.
We
just had it talked about Hampton. We just had it. Y'all tune in for the pre-show. Y'all find it. If y'all can find it, y'all let me know. Because we just did a whole 20-minute diatribe, and you would have liked that.
Y'all can find the pre-show. Y'all could probably ruin our lives in an instant, but whatever. Hey, man,
real man talk.
We are back. We actually didn't go anywhere. We
didn't.
We joined another pod last week, Be More Sports Pod. Shout out to them and their crew.
Shout out to them.
They got their stuff tight, man. Garland was on there one time before we discussed, and I think he made another appearance on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, shout out to them for welcoming us into their home and on their pod. Unfortunately, Definitely. I couldn't download it to jump on our normal platforms, but it is on our YouTube page. So if you do want to check out the pod shared with them, you can check out our YouTube from last week. It's last week's episode. But we are back here in our normal platform. We're live on YouTube right now, and we'll be on all the pod platforms. And if you have Spotify, you will get to see our beautiful faces. What's going on over there, Garland?
What's up? Preparing for Snowmageddon.
Hunker down.
2026. Oh my God. I had to turn off the news earlier today. Like, okay, I get it. It's gonna snow. It's gonna be some sleet. It's going to be some ice. Last week, they were saying 26 inches. This week, they saying 18. Then the other day, they just said down to between 6 and 12. Before we know it's going to be 0. But hey, I got the snow blower. I got the gas all ready in the can. I got the snow blower ready. Going to try to do a little start tomorrow, make sure it works. And, you know, we made it through the other Snowmageddons. So we'll make it through this one. But what about yourself, bro? You go out, you get some toilet paper, you get some milk.
So I'm fortunate to be in a house with 2 women, my wife and my mom. So they've run out all week long and, you know, prepared. My wife was out taking pictures of the empty shelves and stuff. And let me tell you something. So we're generally stacked in here anyway, because my mom being retired, that's one of the things that's like her hobby. Every day she's out at the store, so we generally stack. But we didn't have any coffee creamer, and we like Trader Joe's coffee creamer. It's a brown sugar cinnamon. It's dairy free. You don't even need any sugar or sweetener in your coffee if you use it. She took a picture of the Trader Joe's down in Montgomery County yesterday where she works, and they ain't had none. The shelves were empty. Why she get excited this morning and called me and was like, our Trader Joe's up in Pikesville got about 30 of them. I was like, grab them. So she grabbed about 5 of them off the shelf. So we get excited over the little things like that. But yeah, man, we're prepared, got the food. We were going to try to get the landlord over. I don't mind being snowed in with him, but one of the disadvantages of remote work is that it don't matter what's going on outside. Come Monday morning, that ass has got to work, and we won't be able to. And if the schools are closed, I won't be able to watch the grandson at 3 years old, and he need all the attention, and my mom can't handle his little wild self.
Well, you know, he be downstairs cooking eggs and bacon. He be outside shoveling snow, all that stuff. Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, that's the good thing about remote work. Back in the day, you used to be watching the ticker with the kids. Like, all right, is the state closed today, or are they gonna do us like liberal leave? And then when we got in the pandemic and they realized that, hey, Google has this suite and they have this thing called Google Meet, and you can work from home and you can put everything on a Google Drive. After that, it's only been liberal leave, my friend. It could be the end of the world outside. Liberal leave.
Listen, 16 inches of snow. You don't think you can work Monday? We'll be taking one of those PTO days from you. Thank you so much.
Yo, they sent out a memo today, and our HR person reiterated to everybody on the reply all. Yeah, just want to make sure y'all clear. if you take off, you're using your PTO, your accrued leave. It's approved by your supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, understand that. So
Yeah,
you can
man,
act like,
gotta work.
oh, yeah, it was snowing Monday. Okay, you got a
We
lap,
used
you got a laptop like I do.
before the pandemic. Let me tell you something. My wife got so mad at me
Mhm.
one day before the pandemic. We got off work because the wind was blowing too hard. We
I remember
so there's a little area right at Charles Street and Lombard Street, and our building is there, or our old building is
that.
there, which was the tallest building downtown. I forgot what it's
Yeah,
another
yeah,
insurance company now.
yeah. But the
Um,
old USF&G
yeah,
building,
old
that's where you were.
USF&G building, and then they got the Bank of America building across the street,
Across the
and
street.
then it's like Charles Center, the little area, but
Yeah.
something about that area, when it gets windy down there, like it's a terror if you're walking. Somebody big like me, it didn't bother anybody, but I watch my coworkers. I got two girls I work with that are small. I watched them literally had to hold on to something while that wind was taking them away. We
Wow,
got
wow.
off work. I mean, the full day. The wind was blowing too hard. And we didn't have our remote laptops then. This was before the
Right.
pandemic. So I was just off. Office closed. I told my wife as she was driving to Montgomery County, I called her, was like, yeah, we off because the wind blowing too hard. She said, what the fuck? And hung up on me. Don't
Yeah,
hate.
man. I didn't live out here. My wife worked for Harford County Public Schools before she retired, and they immediately 2 hours late, and I don't care what happens. And they've gotten so savvy with it now, Calvin. They do a 3 hours late. They just start instituting that this school year. So not only can they go 2 hours late, but sometimes they went 3 hours late. And so, man, it was plenty of times I left out here because it was liberal leave, and I'm heading to work. And yeah, they about yeah, call IHOP so we can order something. We're gonna go ahead and get some omelets and some pancakes, and we're gonna sit and watch this Lifetime movies. I'm like,
Well,
man,
Harford County, y'all got trumped by another part of Harford County called the Hereford Zone, because Tim Tootin used to
yeah,
always be like, Harford
yeah,
County schools still open, but the Hereford Zone been snow come
yeah.
Friday, Hereford Zone been closed since Wednesday.
I was in the Hereford zone the other day because I had to go to dump is in the Hereford zone. It was
Uh
like almost like 2 inches of snow on the ground up there. I was like, what the? So I
yo,
guess it does hold more snow than anybody else
I,
because it's like
I don't
almost
know.
2 inches of snow on the ground.
I never knew where the fuck the Hereford Zone was. I just knew their
Yeah,
schools always closed. Always.
yeah, it's the northern part of Harford County. Man, let's go ahead and get into this. Bro, we got a head coach. The Ravens hired Jesse Minter on Thursday. The Baltimore Ravens hired the fourth head coach in his 31-year history, Jesse Minter. Minter, whose coaching career started with the Ravens initially as a coaching intern and then defensive backs coach, served as a defensive coordinator for Jim Harbaugh for the past 4 seasons, overseeing the units at University of Michigan from 2023 to 2022 and 2023, and with the Chargers for 2024 and this past season, 2025. Last season with the Chargers, Mentor guided the NFL's fifth-ranked defense. They gave up a 285 yards per game. And then 2024, his first season in Los Angeles, the Chargers led the league with the fewest points allowed, 17.7 per game. Mentor, he's receiving a 5-year deal. And so let me ask you 2 questions. Well, let's start with the first one. Do you like this hire?
Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult to dislike any hire that our Ravens have done, because they've always had success with coaches. Now, granted,
True.
there's only been two hired. The one we were inherited, Ted Marchibroda, we were inherited when the team came from Cleveland. But so there's only been two hired, and both coaches have found
Well,
success
they
winning the Super
fired
Bowl.
Belichick. They had fired Belichick and then they hired March Brady. But go ahead. I know what you mean.
Well, Did Belichick even make it here?
He was the coach when their final season in Cleveland, and then
Yeah.
Modell
I
knew
don't
that
even.
he wasn't going to work in
Right.
Baltimore,
That's yeah.
and so they fired him at the end of the season, and they
Yeah.
hired
Won't
March
even.
Brodeur.
Yeah, we don't even count him because he didn't even make it
Yeah,
to the name Raven.
yeah, he
He
didn't
didn't
make it
even
to
make it.
Baltimore.
So
Right.
but
I'm
no,
sorry.
and both coaches that they've actually hired thus far have both won Super Bowls. They've both won Super Bowls pretty early in their career, and they've both seen some success.
Right.
So it's really difficult to not um, like the hire. But then on the other end, it's also difficult if you're a fan of football, and especially with the disappointments that we've had. It's also difficult to actually jump on the bandwagon and say, hey, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. We know what everyone hears, but this is his first stint as
Sure.
a head coach. I will say that we're starting to get into that era now where the Harbaugh tree, the McVay tree. You remember the days of the Walsh tree. We just talked about Belichick. The Belichick tree is still out there, kind of prevalent. They haven't really won much, but you used to have the Walsh tree out there, the Jimmy Johnson tree out there. But now the Harbaughs are starting to get their own tree with Mike McDonald right now, set to play in the Super Bowl possibly. So hopefully this Harbaugh tree is going to be good for us. He's come with all the accolade. He has been in Baltimore, so that's a good thing. He does know the quote unquote Raven way. So yeah,
Knows the
man, I'm
culture.
yeah,
Hmm.
I'm encouraged. So let's just say that I'm encouraged about the hire.
Yeah, it's crazy. I heard on earlier today, actually Harbaugh comes out of the mentor tree because Jesse Mentor's father was the head coach at University
Ah,
of Cincinnati, which gave Harbaugh his first coaching job
okay.
there on the college level. And so that's kind of crazy. But I agree with you. This will be the first defensive coordinator or someone that's a defensive play caller that the Ravens had hired. March Broda and Billick were offensive guys, and
Hmm.
so and Harbaugh was a special teams guy. Well, he was just a CEO type. He was just basically there letting his assistants pretty much run the offense and the defense. And so this is a person coming in that has called games, has made halftime, adjustments on the defensive side of the ball. I think probably their biggest issue was on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, Lamar Jackson won at least one of those two MVPs with Greg Roman as his offensive coordinator. So I don't think offense is necessarily a issue, although they need to make some personnel moves there on the offensive line. I think at the skill position, they do have the players where they can go ahead and get right back to where they were the previous season. But yeah, I like Mentor. I like, the fact that he's an X and O's guy. I like the fact that he's young, and I want to see what he brings to the team. I like the fact that he's also was steeped in the Ravens way. Play hard. It's defense that wins games, all of those particular things. And this is a guy you can plug right into your system. He's not coming in looking to make roster moves. He's not coming in trying to grab GM power because he's been there a long time. And so this is a guy that can grow on the job in a sense and grow with the team. And so I like it. I think it's a good move for them. Now, who do you think they should go after for offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator? Now, I know defensive coordinator Mentor really is going to be calling
Right, right.
the defense, but of course he'll have a coordinator. So let's start with offensive coordinator. Who are you thinking about?
Yeah, so and for some reason I'm really not into this guy, but everyone is calling for Cliff Kingsbury or Kingsbury rather. Now,
Oh, well.
his
Mm-hmm.
head coaching stint with your boy Lil Man, I can't even, I can't ever think of his real name because you called him Lil Man so much. Um, just did not
I can't either.
overwhelm
I'm
and
trying to
impress
not.
me. But he did do a very good job with Jaden Daniels in his rookie year.
Right.
So I would assume that's where you could go. You're also looking at guys that are still coaching right now. You're looking at what's his name, David. We interviewed him for the head coaching position. Um, the last name.
Davis Webb. Davis
Dave,
Webb.
no, not
Davis Webb.
Davis Webb. I'm thinking about defensive coordinator. Oh my goodness gracious. His name will come to me. Who's the Rams defensive coordinator?
Oh, David Shula. I'm not David Shula. Chris
David
Shula.
Shula. That's what I'm thinking of. David Shula. David
David
Shula.
Shula was his. I think it's his, maybe his father, might be his uncle. But Chris Shula is David Shula coached the Bengals,
Chris
and he
Shula.
was a
Chris
wide
Shula.
receiver
Yeah,
for
right.
Chris Shula.
Chris
Yeah,
Shula.
and he was a wide receiver for the Colts.
Yeah, Chris Shula. So, I like the thought of them, but do these guys want to make lateral moves? To be very honest, I really don't know because I was looking at the Mike McDaniels, the Robert Salas, the Brian Flores's. I was looking at guys like that. I guess Kingsbury. I don't really have a choice. I at this point would trust in whatever the head coach would say. So I don't really have a preference on who's going to be in coordinators, but it is going to be extremely important. The offensive coordinator is going to be definitely extremely important for Lamar and the offense because we have a defensive coach. So Lamar's going to probably lean his opinion will probably weigh really, really heavy on the choice for offensive coordinator.
Yeah, Kyler Murray is our little man. If y'all don't know who we talking about when we talk about little man. Now, for me, for offensive coordinator, I saw someone said this, and I kind of like the logic of it. If we go for one of the young and up and coming guys, more than likely this job can be a springboard for them to head coaching. So we might not have them for more than 3 years. It might be a 2 to 3 year type of stint. So the Davis Webbs of the world, the guy that's the quarterback's coach for the Rams, Shieldhouse.
Shieldhouse, a man of color at
Yeah,
that.
yeah, brother. And so, hot names like that, more than likely, if they come in, you got Lamar, you get back on that MVP track, you might be looking for a new offensive coordinator in a year. Maybe going with someone who is a little bit more established, has not been a head coach or has been a head coach, but they're not going to get back to that level just not yet. Not like a Kubiak. When Kubiak came in, this was kind of like a transition for Gary Kubiak. It was a good little year for him, and then he got right back into the mix. But a Matt Nagy or a Cliff Kingsbury or even a Joe Brady, I think they would be good. I think you got a lot to work with.
You don't think Joe Brady would have head coaching aspirations?
He may, but I'm not sure if he's going to get that Buffalo job. And if he doesn't get the Buffalo job where he already was, who else is going to hire him as a head coach? I mean, he was not a hot name particularly. And I mean, he could be in the mix, but I mean, and we're going to talk about the openings for some teams that are still left, and he could possibly be in the mix. But come to Baltimore, go ahead, get your profile up a little bit more, and I think that'll really set you up for the next coaching job, and you'll be able to write your own ticket. Right now, a couple of the teams that are left are not necessarily great teams that you want to go to kind of start off your head coaching career. And so we'll see what happens with that. What do you think about for defensive coordinator?
I'm in the same boat. However, as you were talking, I was just like, why not? Why not go and get a guy that has been a defensive coordinator but is not interested in head coaching right now, but has the skill and the talent to go out there and do it, and probably has a little chip on his shoulder also. Why not get Mike Tomlin to be the defensive coordinator of the Baltimore Ravens?
Surely you jest.
I'm jesting, but what if it could happen?
They would have to give up a draft pick because he's still signed through.
Yeah, I mean, shit. We need to start giving up some draft.
That's why he's going to TV.
Agency. They do.
Ain't nobody gonna give up them draft picks and all, but yeah, they would. You know how the Raven loves.
That's exactly why he
picks.
Resigned and didn't get. That's exactly why he resigned and didn't get fired. So.
Right. So yeah, they would have to compensate for that. That would be cute, but I mean, for a young coach to have Tomlin as his DC, that's going to be anytime you start messing up, people are going to start calling for Tomlin. Yeah, that would be rough. That would be rough as a new coach.
Absolutely not doing that.
Yeah, you had to be somebody strong. But I mean, so they're mentioning Denard Wilson, who was here before under Mike McDonald. I don't know why Anthony Weaver would come here because he interviewed for the head coaching job. But then again, maybe it's Anthony Weaver. I believe there's somebody that he worked with talking about a mentor out in LA that was defensive back coach that they really liked as well. And so there are a lot of
That
different
guy,
people. I
that
don't.
defensive backs coach just got a. I think they're asking him to interview
Mm-mm.
for the Browns head coaching job.
Oh, okay, okay,
I
okay.
think I
Yeah,
read
so
that.
there's some people out here, and I'm sure they'll pull somebody out. Maybe he'll bring some of the people that is on his staff with him here to Baltimore, and it's probably a DC there, but we'll see. But I think the most important hire is the offensive coordinator.
Offensive
We need
coordinator, yeah.
someone that's going to unlock that offense. Uh, Going back to that, thinking about Kingsbury, I don't necessarily think his offense suits a Derrick Henry type of runner. He hasn't had a Derrick Henry type of runner in his offenses, at least on the pro level. Not with Arizona. They didn't have one in DC. That's a spread offense. You got to be able to catch the ball out the backfield. And so, I'm not sure if Henry is a great fit for that type of offense. Maybe it
Well,
works better for Nagy or maybe another coordinator. But go ahead. What are you going to say?
yeah, so no, and you make a good point. And there was I was listening to something, and they tried to make that point also. But they did have to bring up that there was a 1,200-yard rusher in Arizona. While Kingsbury was there, I can't remember his name, but if you hear his name, you'll be like, oh yeah. However, he
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a Derrick Henry type runner. He wasn't a power runner. He was
Sure.
more of a scat
Sure.
back runner. But I
Right.
mean, if you're just looking for running backs getting over 1,000 yards, that's him. But if we think about it, I know Derrick Henry just recently came out and said he feels great and that no chance of retiring anytime soon. But what if we could make a spread offense kind of cater to him, take some of that load off of him, some of that wear and tear off of him because he is older. I mean, he is an older guy.
Right. Right.
Maybe those 20 carries a game could go down to an effective 15 carries a game.
Possibly. Possibly. All right, man. Bye bye, John Harbaugh. I know, Calvin, you were crying last on January the 6th. Uh, on
My
January
boy
6th, which was
Blue.
Calvin's birthday. I know Calvin was crying, about this on his birthday. Ravens owner Steve Bisciotti fired Harbaugh after the team failed to reach the playoffs for the first time in 4 seasons. Harbaugh led Baltimore to 193 wins, including the playoffs and a Super Bowl title in the 2012 season. But recently, the Ravens fell short of matching the postseason success that they had earlier under his leadership. Since drafting Jackson in 2018, Baltimore has won 86 games, third most in the NFL over that span. But in 8 seasons with Jackson, Harbaugh managed only 3 victories in the postseason and never advanced the Ravens past the AFC Championship game. 2 weeks after Harbaugh was released, the Giants made Harbaugh their head coach with a 5-year deal worth $20 million per year. The deal gives Harbaugh more influence on the roster construction, and he will report directly to the ownership, not to GM Joe Sheehan. The Giants have gone 7-27 over the past 2 seasons and could benefit from an established winning coach such as Harbaugh. And Harbaugh succeeds Brian Daboll, who was fired in November, and Mike Kafka, who served as the interim coach for the Giants in their final 7 games. And so, what type of coach are the Giants getting in Harbaugh? What would you say the type of coach that they're getting?
Yeah, so we can sit here and give them all the negatives about John Harbaugh and how be careful of this, he can't do this, he can't do that. But the one thing that Harbaugh did do for the Baltimore Ravens was he continued and then reestablished the culture in Baltimore. 18 years you just cannot sneeze at. Again, he's a Hall of Fame
Sure.
coach. The The one thing the Giants did not have is consistency. He's going to give them that. He's going to give them stability. He's going to bring some pride up there. He's going to bring some culture up there. You got some young superstars in Jackson Dart, and Cam Scatterboo, Malik Neighbors. I mean, you got some young superstars up there. They have the tools to actually be a very good contending team in the NFC East. I mean, you got the Cowboys always falling over themselves. You got some competition with DC, but I mean, they're not unstoppable. They haven't been a juggernaut. And then you got the Giants and the who's there the Giants and the fourth team, the Eagles. The
Cowboys,
Eagles are
Eagles.
no, the Eagles, the Eagles. So you got the Eagles who are a strong team, but they have their own problems going on right now. So I think that this, and I've always said it as soon as he left, this was the best spot for him. I pretty much knew he was going to go there. It was the most attractive job outside of the Baltimore job that he had just been removed from. So yeah, I actually think they got a very good coach. I actually think the Giants are going to do pretty well next year. We can talk about the issues of, okay, so now that they've been established, now what are you going to do when other teams are prepared for you and they're ready for you? But I think the Giants made a good move. I think this is going to turn their franchise around and bring them back to the prominence that they had when Eli was quarterback and they won the 2 Super Bowls.
I agree with you. They're going to get a coach that's going to push his team hard to succeed. I always used to say about Harbaugh that I never thought any of his teams quit on him. In those 18 years, even in those years after the Super Bowl win, when they struggled a lot, I think they had only made the playoffs once in those 5 years, or maybe twice in those 5 years after the Super Bowl. And they had some rough seasons. But always thought the team played hard. I always thought they were in games. I never felt that the players gave up on him. And when they got Lamar, I thought that, he took a chance in terms of selling out completely to build the system around Lamar. Now, that's a lot. I mean, you're a stable coach. You've won a Super Bowl. You got this guy coming in. Yeah, he runs, but that's not really traditional. But they really sold out. I mean, they went out and got Greg Roman, although he was on staff coaching another position players. They went ahead and moved Greg Roman up to offensive coordinator, and they sold out to try to get a successful run with Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think a lot of coaches would have done that in that position. And so I give him credit for that. I think eventually, his time just came to an end. They could not do it in the playoffs. That's all. That's what the owner said. That's what Bisciotti said. It's just the double digit losses, comeback losses that they had. Losing games in the fourth quarter. The fact that players seem to be stifled in development that they really invested in, and the fact that they just did not have the playoff success that they thought that they should have, that they built this team to be successful in the postseason, and it wasn't. It just became his time. So I agree with you. I do think, he's not going to go there and run the NFC East. I mean, you got the Cowboys who are pretty decent.
He's
going to compete. You got the Eagles who are good, and we'll see what happens with the Commanders. But I think they will. They're going to win 8-9 games. They're going to be in the mix. And he's got some players that are coming back from injury that should help them out and help them achieve. So I want to see who he builds on his staff. I know he has not, they're saying they're linking Todd Monken with him there. I know he has not hired Monken yet. They also link Anthony Weaver there, since Anthony Weaver started on his staff here in Baltimore. He was assistant or associate head coach while he was in Baltimore. And so we see how he builds that staff. But, best of luck to him. Broadway John, we see how he handles that press up there. And we see how they do when they blow some of these double-digit leads.
Well, let me just, and about the double-digit leads, the one thing that they don't recognize and give credit for with the double-digit lead, because it's a terrible stat. But in order to lose a double-digit lead, you have to maintain a double-digit lead in the game.
Sure.
I mean, that's a
Sure.
big deal. You know what I mean? It's a big deal that he lost them, but you have to at least get there. So maybe he's figured out how to turn that around, and he'll be able to do
Mhm.
that with Giants. But you had to get there, so credit to him for at least getting there. If games
Definitely.
were 3 quarters, he'd probably be the greatest coach
Oh,
ever in the history of the world.
bro. What did I say in that Green Bay game? It's like, can somebody call in a bomb threat at the end of the third quarter? So they would not play the fourth. All right. Welcome our new head coach. The following teams have hired head coaches since we last met. There were a rash of firings. There have been a rash of hiring since we last broadcasted here on our show. The Falcons, they hired Kevin Stefanski. He replaces Raheem Morris, who went 16 and 18 in his 2 seasons in Atlanta. Stefanski was 45 and 56 in Cleveland and missed the playoffs in his last 2 seasons. You get to fail up if you are a certain color. You get to fail up. This man went 16 and 18 in 2 seasons. Not necessarily great, but not necessarily bad.
Without
And
a
they went out
quarterback.
without a quarterback, and they went out and hired a guy who went 45 and 56 in his tenure and missed the playoffs in his last 2 seasons. Hasn't developed a quarterback, and we're not quite sure if he can win, but he looks brand new. I heard people are not necessarily happy in Atlanta with that hire. The Dolphins, they hired Jeff Hafley. Hafley spent 2 seasons as the Packers defensive coordinator, during which Green Bay ranked ninth in yards allowed per game, sixth in yards per play, and eighth in points allowed per game. And also, he coached Zay Flowers at Boston College as well. Hafley, he's going to have to make a decision on Tua. Candy Arm the quarterback of the future? I'm kind of starting to think that Brian Flores was right about what he said about Tua. Tua, you are trash. You are trash. Brian Flores was right about you. You are trash. The Titans, they hired Robert Saleh. Saleh is set to become the 20th coach in Oilers Titans history and the 7th since the team moved to Nashville in 1997. He'll take over a team that fired Brian Callahan in mid-October and finished 3-14, but has a young quarterback in Cam Ward, the #1 pick from last season. And so, of these couple of hires, which kind of floats your boat?
So I'm more interested in the Salah hire because you do have a young quarterback there that's actually very good. Get a few more pieces around them, and the AFC South, although the Jaguars did take off this year, the AFC South, the Colts are still looking for a quarterback. I mean, they're going to keep Danny Dimes, of course, but we all know Danny Dimes before he got hurt was starting to fall off at the end of the season anyway because the competition was getting harder. But I think Salah, I'm more encouraged by that pick. The Dolphins pick, I would have thought they would have gone after an offensive coach only because the defense wasn't really a problem
Right.
in Miami. I mean, towards the end of the season, they started winning some games. They could have been folded. They didn't fold. They started winning some
Certainly.
games. Even with trading, they traded some of their stronger players away, and they still I thought they needed somebody to come in, and if you're not going to do anything with Candy Arm, who's going to be a huge cap hit against them if they let him go. If you're not going to do anything with Tua, you still got Devon Achan. Like your offense is almost like a Baltimore offense.
Sure.
You got
You
pieces
got
there.
Tariq there.
Yeah, I
You
think
got
Tariq is
Hill.
going to be gone, but you got Waddle. You got
You
Waddle
got
there.
Waddle.
Um,
Hmm.
I, I think I think their offense is pretty good. So I thought you would have brought in an offensive coach to kind of help develop that. And the Atlanta hiring, I'm just so Stepanski actually did okay when he had Baker Mayfield. So now you're taking him to a
Yeah.
situation where he doesn't have a quarterback. Now he does have Bijan, he has Drake. I mean, they have some of the pieces there, but they don't have
Well,
an
I mean, they
established.
got Penix and they got
Yeah, but Penix stayed
Cousins.
hurt, and come on, Cousins, come on, and you're also throwing him in the division against Baker Mayfield, who immediately came out and was
Right. I
like, "Oh
saw that
yeah, this
tweet.
is going to be fun. Where's that phone
Hmm.
call you were supposed to give me? This is going to be like I'm with you. You fell up. I'm glad that they took him because the call from a lot of these people that Stefanski, he could be the Ravens head coach. Get the fuck what? No, 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 no.
Yeah. Because I know Bashadi had put it out there that we may hire a coach who's had previous experience that maybe not had not been successful where they were because that's what the
Exactly.
market was looking like. But yeah, I think going young worked for them. Stefanski, yeah, I'm still scratching my head about that hire. I think for a team that's emerging like the Falcons, and they have a super strong fan base, and they have an owner that's willing to spend. That's the best you could do. Yeah,
Like
yeah, that
it it kind of felt like he was getting antsy there, because we talked about which
I
are
think
some of the
so.
better jobs out there, and that was one of the better jobs out there. Like
Yeah,
I didn't
I
think he
think
had to rush
Harbaugh,
to do that.
right? I think Harbaugh had interviewed there too. I mean, to me, y'all should really press Harbaugh. If the Giants gave him 20, y'all should have gave him 21
Exactly.
to go for that job because I think
Or at
Harbaugh
least,
would have been at
well,
least a more logical choice if you guys are trying to
yeah.
win versus Stefanski. And
I mean,
so,
and so,
um,
but you hired now you hired Stefanski and McDermott is available. You know what I mean? It's
right,
like
right.
you just it was kind of like they rushed to hire him. It's not like a Cleveland job.
Yeah,
You
they
know
could have
what I
waited.
mean? You
They
could
could have
have
waited.
waited. You could have waited.
Could have waited. Could have waited. Um, I think when we were ranking these teams, I think we had kind of like Giants, Titans, Falcons were probably the best top three out of the teams at that point because Harbaugh had not been fired. And um, I like the Salah hire, but for me, I would have thought that he would want to go to a team that was more set to win because he's been at a developing team. I mean, he went to New York.
With the Jets, yeah.
They had a high draft pick for the quarterback who washed out, and then the next year they went and got Aaron Rodgers. I know they were trying to win quick, but that team was not built to win quickly like that. And to go back to a situation where you're basically rebuilding again. I mean, this team went 3-14 last year. Yes, you had Cam Ward, but there's a lot of work to be done there. Um, the Dolphins, I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but maybe it was because they could not get Harbaugh, or Harbaugh didn't pay them any attention to this, where he got the second best person or the best person that was on that list. Now, of the remaining jobs, we got Cardinals, Raiders, Browns, Steelers, and Bills. Which are the top three for you?
So if you would have asked me this 2 days ago, it would have undoubtedly been the Buffalo Bills job. But as we talked about earlier today in our group chat, the Bills ownership, it just seems like a clown show right now. I have no idea what's going on there, and if I'm a potential coach, I may want to stay away from that
Mhm.
seemingly sinking ship. It's not. You
Sure.
still got Josh Allen. They're getting a new stadium. There's going to be a lot of hype around that. But you got a GM that was promoted that literally did nothing. You got an owner that's talking out of the side of his neck, and you're interviewing Philip Rivers for the head coaching position. I don't know. So, um, hear me out. Hear me out. Now, if y'all know anything, when a guy says "hear me out," he's trying to make a case for something. Hear me out.
I'm gonna hear you
The
out.
Las the Las Vegas Raiders is the most appealing job right now. You have the number one pick in the draft, who's absolutely going to be the Mendoza kid. You have Ashton Genty. You have Brock Bowers. You have a piece there that's Max Crosby that you can dangle around or you can keep. I think the Las Vegas Raiders job
Mm.
is the most appealing job out right now.
Okay. I would say Steelers, Bills, Raiders. I would say those would be the top three jobs that are left. Steelers, because it's the Rooneys. Um, it's the Steelers. It's a legacy franchise. They're going to do the best they can to always win and to always be in the playoffs. That's the standard for them. And although Tomlin got
Yeah.
them there
I was
several
about to say, I think
consecutive
that's a Mike
years,
Tomlin. I think that's a Tomlin thing.
yeah, well, we're about to see. I mean, because I know the players are a little aged there. They might not have a quarterback coming back with Rodgers,
Right.
but I think just on the franchise alone, in the history of the franchise, and the fact that they're invested in winning, I would say the Steelers. I would say the Bills second because they had the reigning MVP and Josh Allen. The boy's a menace when he's on. When he's not, it doesn't look all that great, but I think they have a lot there. James Cook, they has some pieces on the offense. I think they have some pieces on the defense. I think they just overreacted. I think the firing of McDermott was probably the wrong move. You know, I wouldn't put it in the same class with Harbaugh because Harbaugh, I think it was going in a total different direction. I think, you know, for with the Bills, they probably could have did it for another year or two to see where they were going to go. I think the owner got it kind of overreacted. I don't think anybody wants to coach the Cardinals or the Browns.
I think the Browns have actually had 2 or 3 rejections for their
Yeah, I
coach.
mean, because Mentor was supposed to go interview there on Wednesday. He called and declined because the Ravens were working out a deal
Right,
with
right,
him.
right.
I know that they've interviewed the defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz. I think they've interviewed a couple other people. You keep on hearing that they have not fulfilled the Rooney Rule yet, so they still need to get another minority candidate in there. I mean, they were the
You still
first
got
team
that
to
Deshaun
fire.
Watson situation that you got to deal with,
Well,
along
he's
with
going to be there because I mean that's guaranteed
exactly,
money.
exactly,
And
along
then
with
you
the
got
Shador
Shador. Like I
Sanders
said, this is
and
not.
the Gabriel Dillon.
You laughed at me. You laughed at me when I said this is not a good job, and it's showing that this is not a good. I'm telling you,
I laughed
yes, you
at
did
you.
because, yeah, because you said that I'm always against the Sanders family,
Oh no,
and
no, no.
I said
Yeah.
that I did not think this
Well,
was
you are.
the best job. Shh, not all the time, but yeah, I don't think this was the best job because you're going to have to figure out that Deshaun Watson, Shador Sanders
Got to figure
piece.
that out. Yeah.
And I think that's a lot. I think that's going to be a lot on a new coach coming in. And so, yeah, and the Cardinals, I don't know who they've interviewed or how close they are to hiring a coach. And so we'll see what happens with those two teams. But
The
uh,
Cardinals looked at my application with the Ravens, and they called me up, but I was like, yeah, I'm not interested in going to Arizona. Sorry.
yeah, if y'all didn't know, Calvin did apply for the Ravens job and he did not get it. They sent him a rejection letter with some of the things that he needed to correct. If you go to his Facebook page, you can see those items that he needs to address. I was just hoping they would hire him so I could say, please fire him. You know how I am about coaches. And so I
he would
couldn't
have
wait
gave
for him
me
to get
he
hired.
would have gave me the preseason game. I'd have lost the preseason game, and Garland would have been like, get his ass out of there.
It's time to move on. We gambled and we lost. All right, man. We got championship Sunday coming up. First game, Patriots versus the Broncos, the number one seed, AFC seeded. Broncos host the second seed Patriots at home, but will be without starting quarterback Bo Nix, who broke a bone in his ankle on the last play of the Broncos' overtime win versus the Bills. They will start Jarrett Stidham, who has not taken a snap in a regular season game this year. The Patriots make it to the AFC Championship on the back of a strong play of their defense with decisive wins over the Chargers and the Texans. And so, what are some of the keys to the game for you and who wins?
First of all, let's talk about how Garland the Greek has already come out and said that the Broncos,
I'm going to
with
explain why.
without their starting quarterback, is going to beat the
I'm going to
Patriots.
explain
Here's the
why.
keys to the game. Don't let the guy that ain't thrown a pass in 4 years beat you. That's the keys to the game for the Patriots. Garland the Greek, like I told him, if they win, he'll be Garland the Greek. But if the Broncos lose like they should, he'll
You
be
be Garland
Garland
the
the
geek.
Geek. I got the Patriots winning. The Broncos have a good defense, but don't
Mhm.
sleep on the Patriots defense. That's also been pretty decent. I know that Drake May didn't have his best game last week against the Texans, but the Texans defense is also a Titan. I think the Texans defense is better than the Broncos defense, but I do believe that Mike Vrabel will have these boys ready
Mhm.
to not lose to the backup quarterback, who, by the way, was supposed to be the successor to Tom Brady. So we can joke about Stidham, but he actually was drafted with some accolades and some talent. So
Mhm.
I'm not going to act like it's impossible for him to win, although it's impossible for him to win. But I got the Patriots winning this game. But I do have a close game. After thinking about it a little more and thinking about the Broncos defense, I do have it being a close game, but I have the Patriots by a touchdown.
Okay. I got the Broncos as Calvin's already revealed. I'm going to stick with it. I almost changed my mind, but I think the Broncos are better or just as good as the Texans are defensively. The thing that killed the Texans was CJ Stroud.
Oh my
I think the
gosh.
Texans might need to start thinking about drafting a quarterback next year. But yeah, what killed them was CJ Stroud and all those turnovers, 4 interceptions. And so it's crazy because even in the third quarter, they were still in the game. The defense was keeping them in the game. Yeah, Drake May did struggle in that game. He did make some good passes. They did score. I thought the defense played very well for them. The reason why I like the Broncos, one, it's home. I think, Sean Payton is going to cook up a good game plan with Stidham. Now, if Stidham has to come out and throw over 25 times, they're not going to win. If he's throwing anywhere between 15 to 20 times, they're going to be in the game. That means they're running the ball. That means they're doing some play actions. They're taking some hits downfield, but they're not trying to get out here acting like it's Dan Fouts and the 1980s Chargers throwing the ball all over the field. And so I think that's the key for the Broncos. Don't have this guy out here throwing over 25 times. Play some solid D. I think they can eke out a win. All right, let's talk
Yeah,
a
I'm
little
gonna
bit.
have to
Yeah, go ahead.
admit that I'm not a Sean Payton fan as a football person, just because of some of the things that happened in New Orleans. I'm just not a
Sure.
fan. But I will give him his first year in the Broncos with Russ. I was kind of like, yeah, they think he's great. He's not
Mm-hmm.
all that good. I gotta give Sean Payton his credit, man. Since they got Bo Nixon there, I mean, last year he had them boys competing. At one point, they were one of the remaining undefeated teams last year.
I mean, to be
Um,
honest with you, they competed with Russ, but the defense was not all that great. And then Russ started
yeah,
turning over the ball. And so, he did okay the first season, but, Russ really just, the skills had
yeah.
diminished.
Yeah, I'm going to give Sean Payton his
Mhm.
just due. He's a very good coach, very good coach.
Okay. All right. Second game, Rams versus the Seahawks. Number one seed Seahawks will host the fifth seeded Rams in the season trilogy between both teams to
Trilogy.
decide who decide who represents the NFC in the Super Bowl. Both teams split their regular season games with both of them winning at home. The Seahawks, they destroyed the Niners, and the Rams beat the Panthers in a very good Bears team in overtime last week. This is the number one offense against the number one defense. Who wins? What's the keys?
Yeah, and if you remember that final game with the Seahawks and the Rams, the final regular season game they played, it was a nail biter. It
Mhm.
was Rams all the way until we got until the
Until.
last few minutes of the fourth quarter, and they
Mhm.
had to go into overtime. It's just an amazing game. Um, I do believe, and I've been saying this for a few years. He even tried to do it in that game against the Rams. Sam Darnold is going to Sam Donald. I got the Rams winning in a very close nail
Ah.
biter because I'm not a believer in Sam Donald when it comes down to clutch time.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to take the Seahawks. They showed a stat today. Whenever the number one defense has faced the number one offense in the playoffs, the number one defense has won. And so I think Seattle at home. Uh, Again, this is going to be another game where you can't have the quarterback throwing over 25 to 30 times. I think if Donald is out there throwing 30 or 35 times, they're behind. They're not going to win. He's not all that accurate. I think, like last week, they really ran the ball good and he threw a lot of play action passes that were great because the run was good. And so I think, Seattle's going to come out and run the ball. I think the Rams really struggled with that last week against the Bears. I think they probably struggle again with it on Sunday. I love Seattle's defense. I think Michael McDonald is the best defensive coach currently still in the playoffs. I think he was brought there to beat these teams. That's why they brought him there. They brought him there to beat Shanahan, and they brought him there to beat the Rams head coach and to beat the Rams because of his defense and the success he had at Baltimore playing those type of offensive teams. And so I think they're going to scheme it up, and I like Seattle. It's not going to be a blowout. I think it is going to come down to a couple of possessions late in the game, but I think Seattle pulls it out.
And they beat the shit out of the 49ers. You see
Did
how the
they not?
49ers
I turned it off after a while.
49ers came into their stadium, boombox, dancing, everything, and
they ripped up somebody's sign. They ripped up somebody's sign.
6 points. 6 points. 2 field goals.
Did you see that they took one of the fans' signs and ripped it up? So yeah, they came in really, 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 really bold and left really, really quietly.
They got humbled like shit.
Yeah.
6 points.
6 points.
I just 6 points.
6 points.
Not a 49ers team. Not a San Francisco 49ers. You know what? You are right about McDonald being hired to beat those games. I think when McDonald got hired, that was coming off of the Ravens having beat the shit out of the 49ers on Christmas night.
Christmas Day game.
When they hired him, we were like, you know what? He's going to take all that over there and he's going to run that NFC West. And okay.
Also, they beat the Rams that year. Remember that game in the rain?
Yep. They beat the Rams that year. Well. Game I was at that game.
I was there too. Yeah. Now, I know that Matt Stafford in that game, he threw a pass, and you probably remember this. It was kind of like a no-look pass to Puka, and Puka, I don't know how he got it. He dived towards the sideline, and he caught. Oh my God, it was so beautiful. That was a great game.
That was the day. That was the day that I said to myself, Puka Nacua is the best receiver in the motherfucking game. I don't care.
He was killing
who else you throwing up there.
He was killing everybody.
If you remember, both times we played the Rams, even this year, both times we played them recently, even this year, Puka got hurt late in that game and had to go out. Remember, they were dependent on their tight end who actually dropped a pass that would have sealed the game for them because they were killing them. That was also the game McVay ran the ball all the way down to the red zone and then decided to pass 3 times. And we were like, thank you. And they settled for a field goal. We're like, thank you.
Yeah. All right. So you got our picks, people. Calvin's going with the Patriots over the Broncos. I'm going with the Broncos over the Patriots. And he's going with the Rams over the Seahawks. And I'm taking the Seahawks. And so split again. But y'all know who the king is. Y'all know who the king is and pick them. Y'all know who the king is.
Here we go with this shit again.
Calvin out here looking like Eddie King Jr. Nights like this, I wish that raindrops would fall. Nights like this, I wish that raindrops would fall. All right, man. We at the point of the program everybody loves. Come on, yo. All I'm gonna start off, man. I got special. Come on, yo.
Okay.
Come on, yo. Leave Martin Luther King Jr. alone. Well, Calvin, you know, over the last couple years, I don't know if it's these Gen Zs or Ys or Xs who are out here, but there's been this movement that has had this high scrutiny of historical Black figures. There's a group of people that said Harriet Tubman was not real, that she was made up. I've seen this on TikTok. This is a young kid. He does not believe that Harriet Tubman existed. There were people calling Frederick Douglass a sellout because his second wife was white. And now, over the last couple of years, because this hasn't been new, we have these people who say that Martin Luther King stepped out on his wife, Coretta. Martin Luther King stepped out on Coretta. And we believe in this. I mean, we didn't believe about COVID, what the government told us about COVID, but we believe that what the government said about Martin Luther King. Now, you have to understand about Martin Luther King, a brilliant young man who basically really sacrificed his life for the rights of all people. He died in his 40s, Calvin. This was a college-educated man that could have just went and just pastored and not been involved in any movement, because not every pastor was. He could have just said, I'm just want to pastor a church. But he saw a need for the nation and basically sacrificed his life, his family, all of those things to help influence and change the mind of men so that people would be treated equally. But the United States government hated Martin Luther King, particularly the head of the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover, a closeted gay man. We know this is fact, who believed that Martin Luther King was influenced or controlled by communists and did everything in his power to try to discredit and destroy not only Martin Luther King, but other civil rights movements. As a matter of fact, he started something called COINTELPRO. Google it and look it up. This was a tactic used to deploy by the government to infiltrate and destroy the Black Power movement, the civil rights movement, all of those things. And Martin Luther King was one of the main people that was targeted in this plan by J. Edgar Hoover. And one of the things that they did was they tried to get Martin Luther King to kill himself. They were sending these tape things to his house that were doctored, all these other things, trying to get him to admit that he had stepped out on Coretta. Now, Coretta said he ain't never stepped out on me. He was folding me up in here in Atlanta. I ain't never stepped out on me on Coretta. But y'all gonna believe J. Edgar Hoover. And so, come on, yo, let's stop this attack on our leaders when we got to understand where the information is coming from. Now, I'm not saying Martin Luther King is perfect. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he may have, but that does not darken the impact of his life and what his life has had on the liberties and the rights that we've all experienced. I think me and Calvin are the children of the results of those fights. We got to go to good schools. We got to go to colleges. We got to buy homes and, do all of these different things through the sacrifices of not only Dr. King, but a lot of others. But we also have to understand Dr. King was specifically targeted by the government to discredit him because they did not want him to lead the people. It's a good documentary to watch, MLK and the FBI. Watch it. It'll give you great detail of the lengths that the government went through to discredit Dr. King. So come on, yo, leave Martin Luther King Jr. alone. All
And
right, stop with all this trying to discredit stuff, and y'all believe in stuff that the government then said.
and for all you far right wingers and you Trump supporters and MAGA supporters, stop quoting him and stop saying things like,
Right,
well, he fought for equality and y'all not living it. If y'all loved him so much, why did y'all kill him? Y'all killed
right,
him. Y'all
right.
y'all killed him. You try to act like your ancestors, your grandmothers and grandfathers were so kind to everyone. Why did they support killing this man? They
Calvin.
hated him. White people hated him.
Right. He was the most hated when he died. They took a poll before he died. He was the most hated man in the United States in 1968 when he was assassinated. And it's crazy, Calvin. We don't believe man. There are people who don't believe man landed on the moon because they believe it was made up in the studio. But there are people who believe what the government has said about Martin Luther King. That's crazy.
You all just the one thing that white folk can do and do extremely well is rewrite history.
Yeah.
And every day
And
we
get
watch y'all attempt to rewrite history.
but it's crazy. I think my come on yours more to us because we're the ones
Believe in
we're
that shit.
we're perpetuating it, man. We're believing it, and we're dialoguing about it, and we're pushing this narrative. And we don't. I don't care what the other people do. Y'all can believe whatever y'all want, but at least for us, we should know better.
We should absolutely know
I'm
better.
done. Yeah, we just
Hey man,
celebrated his birthday, and I thought about it. So yeah, there you go.
Hey man, I didn't really have much of a come on, yo. I am going
Mhm.
to tell you all that I'm so sick. I will be so glad. I'm glad that the Ravens finally hired a coach because I will be so glad when they get this extension done. I'm so tired of
Right.
Lamar Jackson being linked to every other team but the Baltimore Ravens. It was the Miami
Right.
Dolphins at one point. Remember that? But
Right.
now the
It was the
Dolphins can't do it because of the
Dolphins.
salary cap. So
Right.
now it's the Raiders. Right now it's the
Hmm.
Raiders. He's linked to every team. Every article you read, oh, Lamar Jackson wants out of Baltimore. He's not going to re-sign with them. So now they're getting to the point where they're actually throwing trade scenarios out there. Oh, the Ravens could take the first round pick and Max Crosby to trade Lamar Jackson to the Raiders.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
But
Lamar is
but
the attraction for a good offensive coordinator.
but come come on, yo. And then let's do this. Then the Raiders. The Raiders. You know the Raiders with the number one pick because they only had 3
Yes.
wins that haven't been any good in the past few years. The Raiders we're talking about. You see their fans jumping on Twitter saying things like, "Oh, we wouldn't even want Lamar Jackson here. Get the fuck out of here. Come on, yo." Well, we wouldn't even want Lamar. He could stay in Baltimore. Thank you. Thank you. We're so happy that your random dumbass with your sorry ass team is allowing us to keep our quarterback. You, you're
Only
you're
somebody
so
dumb would say
kind.
that.
You're so kind. You're so kind.
You know what, though, Calvin? I think it does. And I heard this today when I was listening to Bomani's episode earlier today with Mina Kimes. I agree with Mina. I still think there are a lot of teams and a lot of personnel people that don't believe that Lamar Jackson is a good quarterback.
There are.
Even though he's shown it all, even though he should have won 3 MVPs,
It's just
they it's still a contingency out there that don't believe that he is a good quarterback. And yeah,
it.
fans and I think it's fans in organizations alike. That's why Atlanta didn't go get him. People like Atlanta should have did it. Atlanta should have. Atlanta did not believe the people there making personnel decisions did not believe he was a good quarterback. That's why they did not do it. That's why more teams did not take that chance.
It baffles me. The MVP race last season still baffles me on a guy. What was it? 41 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. And if you look at those interceptions, maybe 1 or 2 were actually his fault. But you're talking about a guy that set a passing record. I'm sorry, tied passing records with some great Hall of Famers, who was voted first team All-Pro, the only quarterback ever voted first team All-Pro that did not win the MVP. Come on. It still baffles me how Lamar Jackson, and let me back up, not Lamar, how us Lamar Jackson fans have to fight for his respectability. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. Anyway. Hey man, another great pod episode.
We did it.
We did it. Did it before the snow.
We did it. Before Snowmageddon.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop this at some point tomorrow. You all can wait to listen to it when you shoveling.
Yeah, while y'all shoveling the snow.
Yeah. And then at that point you'll be able to see that I picked the right 2 Super Bowl contenders, while Garland the Geek did not get the Super Bowl.
All right, don't sleep on the Broncos. Don't sleep on Stiddy.
I'm gonna let you all know now. If the Broncos win, I may have to quit the pod because I won't be able to take it. I may have to take mental health leave for the next month.
Who y'all gonna listen to? The man that won pigskin pick'em, or the man that came in second?
All right, so we're live on YouTube right now. You can check us on all.
You have been listening
platforms.
To the B.I.G.
And if
show.
You have Spotify, you'll
the
get
show
to
was
see the
produced
lies
and written by Calvin
Garland
Coates and Garland Thomas for All Things Black Production. Hit the sound right. Follow us on all of your podcast media platforms.
I'm sick of it.
That's not right.
Sick of it. Hey man, have a good weekend. Hunker down. Give the best.
All right, bro. Be safe out there.
All right, later.
Peace.